There is a silence behind the noise of your thoughts, a stillness beneath the struggle you call life. You feel it sometimes, don't you? In the quiet spaces where the world's demands lose their voice, and only your being remains aching, calling. If you are feeling stuck, it is not because life has conspired against you, nor because destiny has withheld its blessings. No, beloved, it is only because you have forgotten who you are. You are not a creature among creatures, tossed by winds you cannot command. You are the wind itself. You are the breath of the eternal, cloaked in the garments of time, and yet you have allowed the garment to claim the wearer, the reflection to claim the light. You look upon the outer world and call it cause. You look upon your inner world and call it effect. But the ancient truth stands, changeless as within, so without. Most stumble here, imagining that to change their life, they must wrestle with conditions, plead with circumstance, toil endlessly in the fields of action. But I tell you, unless the seed within is changed, no harvest will differ. The outer world is not stubborn. It is faithful. It mirrors without hesitation the image you hold of yourself. And what is that image but your assumption, your inner knowing, accepted without question? You are always assuming, always imagining, always planting the seeds of tomorrow in the garden of today. But unconscious of your power, you call the garden wild, or barren, or cursed. How tenderly the infinite waits for you to remember, not with scolding, but with silent invitation. As the scripture whispers, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46:10. Be still and you shall know, not through striving, not through noise, but through the quiet certainty of being. You are the operant power. Consciousness is the only reality. This is not theory. This is not theory. This is law. Feel it now. The ancient longing within you is not for more effort, not for more plans, but for return. Return to yourself. Return to your throne within. The feeling of being stuck is the shadow, not the substance. It is the echo of a forgotten identity, calling you home, not to a new self, but to the self that was always. Notice what shifts in you as you hear this. A faint stirring, a warmth rising from the unseen depths. That is the movement of the real. That is the sign that you are remembering. And yet, there is something deeper still. For if the law is so simple, why does the mind resist it? Why do you continue to affirm the chains when the door stands open? This brings us to what few are ever taught, the subtle intoxication of the familiar. You see, even bondage becomes a comfort when it is known. Even limitation becomes a companion when it has walked beside you for years. To be free requires not just a shift of thought, but a death of the familiar self. And death, even to falsehood, is feared by those who have lived too long within its walls. But there is a secret. You need not kill the old self. You need only fall asleep to it. Just as night gently covers the weary traveler, so too can you release the worn identity without struggle. You need not wrestle the shadows. You need only turn toward the light. Feel, now, the beauty of that turning. Not a battle, but a yielding. Not a striving, but a surrender. For the power that will lift you from the mire is not your effort, it is your acceptance. To feel as though your prayer is already answered. To live as though your desire is already fulfilled. This is the golden key, whispered from eternity into the hearts of those who dare to listen. And as you listen, the old patterns begin to loosen their hold. The walls built by years of fear begin to crumble in silence. You stand now at the threshold of a new country, a land where cause and effect are not strangers, but lovers, where the invisible shapes the scene, where you remember at last that you are the dreamer, not the dream. But what if even that realization is just the beginning? What if the very structure of reality itself is waiting to be revealed to you in ways more wondrous and terrifying than you have ever allowed yourself to imagine? And as that threshold gleams faintly before you, something even deeper stirs. For you begin to sense that this journey is not about becoming something new, but unveiling what has always been hidden beneath the veils of belief. You do not climb upward toward your true self. You sink inward like a diver descending into a fathomless sea where treasures untouched by time await. The world in all its clamor taught you to seek outward. It told you that fulfillment lay beyond the next hill, beyond the next achievement, beyond the next whispered promise of tomorrow. Yet even after all the reaching, the striving, the weary prayers spoken into the night, something in you knew the truth had not moved. It had always been inside you, waiting for your gaze to turn inward. You are not here to accumulate. You are here to remember. You are not here to wrestle with fate. You are here to command it, effortlessly, silently, as the Creator moves the heavens without strain, without noise, without effort. Feel the sacred weight of that. Let it settle into you like soft rain into thirsty earth. All you ever desired was already yours, the moment it was imagined. The unseen is not distant. It is closer to you than breath. When you dare to feel from the end, to dwell in the reality of your fulfilled desire, the outer world must rearrange itself with mathematical precision to reflect your assumption. It is law, just as surely as seed becomes harvest. But there is something most never see. It is not enough to imagine once or to wish desperately, or to plead with trembling words. Creation is finished, yes, but remembrance must be continuous. You must dwell in the state of your desire until it becomes more real to you than the evidence of the senses. You must walk by faith, not by sight, until sight is swallowed up by the vision born within. The senses will scream their accusations. They will parade before you the evidence of lack, of delay, of impossibility. But the senses are but servants. They obey the deeper decree, and the decree is your assumption, your inner knowing, held with the quiet authority of one who has remembered their throne. According to your faith, be it unto you, said the Master Teacher, Matthew 9:29, not according to your need, not according to your effort, according to your faith, your inner acceptance that what you have assumed is already yours. And so I ask you now, not with the voice of demand, but with the whisper of eternity. What are you accepting as true? What garment are you clothing your soul with? For you wear your assumptions as surely as you wear the raiment of your body. Invisible though they may seem, they declare themselves in every event, every meeting, every unfolding moment of your days. You cannot escape your assumptions. You can only choose them. And that choosing is not an act of effort, but of surrender, a sinking into the feeling of already being the one you desire to be. Close your eyes now if you feel called, and notice the stirring within, the subtle warmth that rises as you glimpse the life already lived, the joy already tasted, the love already known. This is not fantasy. This is memory from a higher place, where all possibilities exist now, waiting for your embrace. There is no power outside of you that decrees your fate, no distant God, writing stories you must suffer through. The pen is in your hand, even when you do not see it. The ink flows from your heart, even when you forget you are writing. And if you feel the weight of old stories clinging to you, stories of failure, of waiting, of helplessness, know that you are not bound by them unless you choose to be. The past has no substance, except the meaning you continue to breathe into it. The past is but yesterday's assumption, clothed in the dust of time. Yet even now, a new garment lies ready for you, woven not of struggle, but of certainty, not of desperation, but of joy. And all that is required is a silent willingness to slip into it, to walk in it, to be it. But how, you may wonder, does one hold to the new, when the old screams so loudly? How does one abide in the unseen, when the visible world seems to contradict every whispered promise of the heart? This brings us to a mystery even deeper, hidden in plain sight, and it is there, in the secret act of silent union, that your true power waits to be awakened. And as you feel the question form silently within you, know this: the answer does not lie in striving harder, nor in demanding louder. It lies in the holy art of inward union, the sacred marriage between the feeling of the wish fulfilled and the quiet steadfastness of faith. You do not argue with the senses. You bless them for their loyalty. You do not fight the world. You rise above its shadows by withdrawing your belief from them. In the secret places of your own heart, you become one with your desired state, marrying it in feeling and carrying its name as your own. This is the mystery spoken of throughout the ages, that man and his assumption are one flesh, and what God has joined together, no man can put asunder. Imagine it now, as softly as a dream not yet spoken, you living the life already fulfilled, not reaching, not begging, but being, not trying to create, but quietly accepting that all creation is already finished, awaiting only your recognition. You touch it first within the corridors of your imagination, and then without force, without strain, it blooms into visibility in its perfect appointed hour. This too is a law, as fixed as the rising of the sun. That which you accept inwardly must be reflected outwardly, and though the reflection may seem delayed to the senses, it is never denied. Delay is not denial. It is the necessary interval between the unseen seed and the seen harvest. It is the silence between planting and sprouting, the sleep before the morning's light. Feel the softness of that truth settling into you now. The pressure to make things happen falls away. The urgency to force outcomes dissolves. For you realize at last that your part is not to coerce reality, but to embody its fulfilled version within. In the stillness of your imagination, you plant the seeds of destiny. In the daily acts of faith, quiet, unseen, powerful, you water them. And even when nothing seems to move on the surface, the roots are growing deep and strong beneath the soil of the unseen. Yet even deeper still lies a subtler realization. You are not merely the sower of seeds. You are the soil, the rain, the sun, and the harvest itself. You are the entire garden of God, unfolding itself from glory to glory. The old self, who believed in separation, would ask, how will it happen? When will it come? Who must I convince? But the awakened self smiles inwardly, knowing that none of these questions matter. For when you feel from the end, when you inhabit the fulfilled state as your dwelling place, the bridges of incidents build themselves invisibly and irresistibly across the currents of life. Strange and perfect coincidences will appear. People you have never met will move on your behalf. Doors you never saw will swing open at your slightest touch. For the unseen power that moves the stars also moves through you, arranging all things according to your assumption. You do not need to know the how. You only need to dwell in the knowingness of already being. Your state of consciousness is the cause. The world is the effect. This is the eternal order, unchanging and sure. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. Isaiah 65:24. So it is with all things you dare to claim as already yours. The answer is already echoing in the halls of the unseen, rushing toward you faster than light, seeking the one who has assumed its reality. Can you feel it? The hum of unseen blessings vibrating just beyond the veil of sight, pressing closer each time you dare to dwell in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Every time you return to the end, every time you rest in the certainty of already having, you thin the veil, until at last what was hidden becomes revealed. And yet even in this glory, there is a higher secret still, whispered only to those who linger long enough at the gates of remembrance, a secret that does not just change your circumstances, but transforms the very nature of who you know yourself to be. It is here, at the edge of old identity and new birth, that the greatest unveiling begins, and with it a freedom far greater than the fulfillment of any single desire, a freedom that is your birthright, awaiting only your permission to awaken. And as you stand at this trembling threshold between who you have known yourself to be and who you are awakening to remember, you realize that true freedom is not merely the ability to choose your conditions. True freedom is the revelation that you are the source from which all conditions arise. You are not a fragment pleading with the whole. You are the whole, momentarily dreaming itself to be a fragment. And the moment you dare to claim your inheritance, the moment you accept yourself as one with the divine imagination, the chains of circumstance fall away like mist before the morning sun. Feel it stirring now deeper than thought, deeper than emotion, a knowing that needs no proof, a certainty that exists before all evidence. The old self waited for signs before it believed. The awakened self believes, and the signs follow. You are no longer waiting for permission from the world to live your fulfilled life. You are granting it to yourself, silently, invisibly, with the sovereign authority that was always yours. You are stepping into the still waters of assumption, letting them rise and envelop you until there is no separation between your desire and your being. And this, beloved, is the secret that unlocks every door. You must feel it real, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. For there is only now in the kingdom of the real. There is no waiting in imagination. There is no future fulfillment. The moment you enter the state of being the one you long to be, you collapse time, and what was once distant draws near. Rest in that feeling for a moment. Notice how the old urgency fades when you realize that nothing stands between you and your desire, except the belief that you must wait. Notice how the heart opens, how the breath softens, how the soul sings quietly when you remember that you are already one with all that you seek. For the kingdom of God is within you, not outside, and it is accessed not by effort but by surrender. Surrender to the reality of your own imagination. You do not force the rose to bloom. You feel yourself already surrounded by its fragrance. You do not command the dawn to arrive. You close your eyes and know it is already rising within you. It is written, all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive. Matthew 21:22. Not asking with trembling hope, not asking with desperate pleading, asking in the feeling that it is already so. This is the prayer that moves mountains and parts seas. the prayer that reshapes the scene according to the unseen certainty within. Every condition in your life is but the echo of what you have dared or feared to assume. Every relationship, every opportunity, every apparent obstacle is a mirror, reflecting the substance of your inner conversations. Speak inwardly now with love, with assurance, with divine boldness. Assume the end, and know that it is already begun. And even when the senses clamor with their protests, even when appearances seem unmoved, you remain anchored in the invisible. You walk by the inner light, trusting that what you have accepted as true must unfold in perfect order, for consciousness is the only creator. Feel the quiet strength rising in you, the strength that comes not from force but from stillness. You do not need to push the river, you need only align with its current, and that current flows from the vision you hold within, streaming outward into the forms of time. And yet, there is a wonder even greater waiting beyond the manifestation of any single desire, for as you abide more deeply in the state of fulfilled being, something even more sacred begins to awaken. It is not merely that your desires are fulfilled, it is that you begin to remember you are life itself, dreaming into form. It is here, beyond striving, beyond asking, beyond even imagining, that the purest mystery reveals itself, the mystery of effortless being, where your very existence is the blessing, and your every breath is a song of creation. And as this deeper remembering stirs in the hidden places of your soul, you are invited into a dance far older than time itself, a dance of unfolding, of effortless grace, where every step you take is both chosen and given, both yours and his. What is this dance, and how do you step into its rhythm without losing yourself, yet finding yourself utterly? The whisper of that mystery draws you closer now, ready to unveil what few have ever dared to live. And as that silent music draws you nearer, you feel it, not with the ears of the body, but with the listening heart, the ancient rhythm that beats beneath all things. It is not a song you must learn, but a song you have only forgotten, for it was placed within you before the foundation of the world, when you were spoken into being by love itself. This dance is the effortless unfolding of who you already are. It is not a matter of striving to become, but of releasing all that denies your being. You move, not because you must, but because you cannot help but express the fullness of what you already contain. It is a dance of joy, of inevitability, of silent power. Most believe that action precedes change, that by doing they shall become. But the sacred order is reversed by being. You will naturally do. When you dwell in the feeling of your fulfilled desire, your movements, your words, your encounters align themselves effortlessly with the invisible decree you have made within. You do not need to strain to find the next step. The next step finds you. You are led, not driven. You are drawn, not chased. And the path that unfolds before you is not one of toil, but one of revelation, each moment unveiling the invisible decisions you have already made by dwelling in the end. Let the heaviness of effort fall away now, like a cloak laid down at the door of the temple. You have entered sacred ground, where all things move according to the stillness you have chosen within. Even when the world seems to ask, "What are you doing?" you may answer from a deeper place, "I am being, I am remembering, I am living from the end." And that is enough. For the one who has entered the Sabbath rest of fulfilled imagination needs no proof from the world. Their knowing is its own testimony. It is written, "We which have believed do enter into rest." Hebrews 4:3. Rest not in idleness, but in inner assurance. Rest not in abandonment, but in mastery. You rest in the unseen because you have seen with the only eyes that matter, the eyes of the Spirit. And from that rest, life unfolds itself with a beauty and precision that no human mind could orchestrate. You meet the right people without seeking. You find yourself in the right place without planning. You say the right words without rehearsing. For the law of your being, the law of assumption, goes before you to prepare the way. This is the effortless path, the narrow way that few find, not because it is hidden, but because it is too simple for the mind accustomed to struggle. The old self wants complexity. It wants techniques, rituals, proofs. But the heart knows, faith is enough. Feeling is the bridge. Assumption is the key. Feel now the widening spaces within you, the soft expansion that happens when you let go of needing to know how it will come. Feel the way your soul relaxes into certainty, the way your breath deepens as you remember, "I am already what I seek. I am already where I desire to be." From this dwelling place, you are no longer a beggar at the gates of life, but a king within his kingdom, a queen within her courts. You no longer plead for your desires, you decree them. And the unseen hosts, the silent servants of the higher law, move swiftly to fulfill your silent word. And if ever doubt whispers at the edges of your mind, if ever the senses tempt you to return to the old way of seeing, you need only turn inward again. Return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Return to the secret place of the Most High, and abide there untouched by the shadows that dance upon the walls of the outer world. For as you dwell in that holy habitation, something even more wondrous begins to awaken, a realization so profound, so life-altering, that it changes not only how you create, but why you create. It reveals a destiny far greater than any single manifestation, a purpose that has been hidden within you since the beginning. And even now it stirs, waiting for you to lean closer, to listen beyond the noise, to hear the voice that calls you not merely to have more, but to become more, to remember yourself as the living Word of God, made flesh. What does it mean to be the living Word? And how does this remembering free you not only from circumstances, but from every limitation you have ever believed was real? Listen now, for the answer is nearer than breath, waiting to unfold its treasure before you. And as you lean into that sacred invitation, something opens within you, something older than thought, yet untouched by time. You begin to see that you are not merely a creator of passing forms, but the embodiment of the Word itself, the eternal utterance of I Am, clothed in the mystery of flesh and experience. You are not a voice among voices. You are the voice made visible. Every assumption you accept as true is a word spoken into the fabric of being, and that word does not return void. It must accomplish that which you send it to do, for it proceeds from the very heart of life itself, through you, as you. The scriptures speak it clearly, though few have ears to hear. So shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish what I please. Isaiah 55:11. And now feel the deeper current. That word is your assumption. That mouth is your inner speech. That authority is your own, the birthright you have forgotten, but cannot lose. Notice the tenderness of that truth as it rests upon you. You are not striving to become worthy. You are not seeking to gain power. You are awakening to the power that has always been yours, the power to decree, to declare, to embody. And in this knowing, freedom blossoms in ways the world cannot comprehend. You are free not because conditions have changed, but because you have remembered yourself as the changeless one behind all conditions. You are free not because the storm has ceased, but because you realize you are the calm at the center, untouched by winds or waves. Feel how the burden of control slips away now, how the need to manipulate, to struggle, to defend dissolves into the quiet certainty of being. The outer world is no longer a battlefield, it is a canvas. And you, beloved, are the artist, the hand and the breath that brings the unseen into form. Yet even deeper still lies a marvel few dare to touch. When you live from the end, when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are not just changing your circumstances. You are fulfilling your eternal nature. You are practicing godliness. You are exercising divine memory. Each fulfilled desire, each new unfolding of joy, is but a mirror showing you more of what you truly are, limitless, radiant, one with the source from which all things spring. There is no separation between the Creator and creation, no distance between the dreamer and the dream. There is only one, expressing itself endlessly through the infinite forms of life. And so the real question ceases to be, can I have this or that? And becomes, what greater remembering of myself is this desire calling me into? Every longing becomes a doorway to deeper awakening, every assumption an act of sacred remembrance. Let that truth settle like soft gold within you. Let it warm the hidden places of doubt and fear, melting them into light. You are not here merely to obtain things. You are here to remember yourself as the giver of life, the weaver of reality, the beloved of God wrapped in human form. And from this higher seeing, your desires become purer, freer, more luminous. You no longer ask to possess for the sake of possession, but to reveal more of the beauty you are. You no longer seek love as a prize to be won, but as a fragrance you cannot help but pour forth from the fullness already blooming within you. Every step, every breath, every silent assumption becomes an act of worship, an act of creation, an act of union with the infinite. And if this is so, if you are the living Word, the unseen becoming seen, then what might be possible if you dared to live from that truth without hesitation, without shrinking back into the smallness you have outgrown? What transformations might flood into your life, effortlessly, joyfully, if you walked every moment, clothed in the feeling of your fulfilled destiny, knowing that it is not a distant future, but a present reality, awaiting only your recognition. There is a power even now stirring in the silence, waiting for you to claim it, waiting for you to say yes without condition, without fear. Will you listen to its call, and step even deeper into the limitless life prepared for you from the beginning? The door stands open, and the next breath could be the one that carries you across the threshold forever. And as the breath of this truth touches you, something within yields, almost imperceptibly, yet entirely. A door swings open without a sound, and you realize it was never locked. It was only waiting for your willingness to see that you held the key all along. You have been standing at the threshold of your infinite life, peering through the veil of appearances, wondering when the way would clear, when the signs would come. But the signs were never withheld. They are born the moment you choose to embody the reality you long to see. They arise from within, as surely as a new song arises when the heart is full. You do not find your future by searching. You become it by assuming. You do not chase your fulfillment. You awaken to it, as a sleeper stirs at dawn and opens his eyes to the world already prepared for him. Let yourself feel that sacred simplicity. All striving, all waiting, all hoping, collapses into a single quiet act, the acceptance of your fulfilled desire as the truest version of reality. For reality, beloved, is not what the senses report. Reality is what you inwardly accept as true, and the senses, ever faithful, will follow your acceptance like a shadow follows the form. This is why the mystics and prophets spoke not of what could be seen, but of what must be believed first. This is why it was said, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. Not a wishful hoping, but a steady knowing, a knowing so complete that the unseen becomes more real to you than the passing appearances of the day. Breathe it in now, the feeling of living in the fullness of what you once sought. Let it clothe you like a soft mantle. Walk inwardly among the conditions of your answered prayer. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. For now is all you have, and now is all you ever need. In this sacred now, you are free, free from waiting, free from striving, free from the tyranny of appearances, free to choose, with holy boldness, the state you desire to occupy, and to dwell there as though no other state had ever existed. And if doubt rises, as it may, like an old phantom of memory, you do not fight it, you do not argue, you simply return, gently but firmly, to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You remember that it is not force that manifests, but persistence in the assumption of the already accomplished. Each time you return, you strengthen the unseen structure. Each time you inhabit your desired state, you weave another thread into the tapestry of your visible world. And though the weaving may seem slow to the impatient eye, it is sure, it is certain, it is governed by law, not chance. You are the weaver and the loom. You are the dreamer and the dream. You are the cause and the reflection. Feel the peace of that, settling deeper with every breath you take. You do not need to earn your desires. You do not need to beg or bargain with life. You need only to remember your place at the center of your creation, and to live from the conviction that what you have imagined is already so. This living from the end is not passive. It is dynamic, alive, glowing with expectancy. It transforms every word you speak, every step you take, every glance you cast upon the world. It imbues your life with a quiet majesty, a serene authority, born not of arrogance, but of remembered unity with the one who called you forth. And the more you live in this way, the more you will see that the world bends and shapes itself around your inner stance, not by accident, not by coincidence, but by the perfect fidelity of law to the imaginer. You are writing the script of your life each moment, not by outer action, but by inner acceptance. Every scene, every character, every unfolding event, all are reflections of the invisible words spoken silently within you. And if this is so, if the pen is in your hand, if the stage is yours to set, then what new story would you dare to write, if you knew you could not fail? What new life would you boldly accept as already yours, trusting the unseen forces that are even now shaping it, waiting only for your unwavering yes? The stillness listens, poised to answer, and the next breath you take could be the breath that brings it rushing into form. And as you feel that breath stir within you, it carries a question more ancient than words. What if you truly dared to trust the unseen? Not as a hope, not as a fragile wish whispered into the night, but as the unshakable foundation beneath your every step. You would walk differently. you would speak differently. You would look upon the world with the knowing gaze of one who understands that appearances are but clay, waiting for the potter's touch. You would no longer measure your life by what has been, but by what you are choosing to be, inwardly now. This is the quiet revolution, the holy rebellion against the tyranny of circumstances. It does not shout or strive. It simply sees beyond the visible into the eternal reality from which all things emerge. And in that seeing, the world softens, bends, transforms. You do not wait for proof, for you know that proof will follow the planting, as surely as spring follows winter. You move in faith, not because you are blind, but because you see more clearly than the eyes of flesh alone could ever perceive. The soul that lives by assumption walks in a different rhythm, moves by a different law. It is the law written not in dusty books, but upon the living heart. The law that says, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. Feel the weight and wonder of that now. Every thought deeply accepted, every assumption lovingly embraced, is shaping the invisible matrix of your life. You are molding the unseen substance with every silent decree. It is not about striving harder to believe. It is about becoming so saturated with the feeling of already having that doubt dissolves by its very nature. As darkness cannot endure the presence of light, so too fear cannot abide in the presence of true assumption. And if in some quiet hour the old doubts rise like mist upon the morning fields, you do not despair. You simply return to the center. You close your eyes, not to escape the world, but to claim it anew from within. You feel the truth, even before it becomes flesh, and you rest in the certainty that what you accept within must appear without. This is the sacred art of living from the end, not a rigid forcing, but a soft, holy abiding. You live it inwardly until the outer must bow to it. You rest in it, savor it, walk within it, until the seen yields to the unseen. And when your heart is heavy, when weariness tempts you to believe in the shadows, remember, you are not alone. You have within you the same spirit that said, "Let there be light," and the light burst forth from the void. You do not create by your own might. You create by alignment with the eternal power that has chosen to express itself as you. And it is always ready, always eager, to fulfill whatever word you dare to speak inwardly with conviction. Feel now the sacredness of that union, not you and something outside of you, but you and the greater you, the infinite self whose dreams shape worlds. And as you accept this holy inheritance, you begin to see your desires differently. They are no longer desperate cries for something missing. They are songs, invitations, celebrations of the life already pulsing within you, yearning for expression. Each desire is a seed of memory, a glimpse of the greater life already written for you in the invisible. You do not invent your destiny. You remember it. You do not force fulfillment. You allow it to bloom from the fertile soil of your surrendered heart. And if even now something stirs within you, a forgotten dream, a silent hope, know that it stirs because it is ready to be born, not by might, not by force, but by your simple, steadfast dwelling in its fulfilled state. The invitation stands, ever silent, ever sure. Step into the life already prepared for you. Walk within the garden of answered prayers. Be the living testimony that imagination creates reality. But what if even the desires you hold are just the beginning, the doorway into a vaster love, a deeper union, a fulfillment so profound it cannot be contained in any single form? There is a mystery yet unfolding, and the next breath may reveal a glimpse of a freedom so complete, so radiant, it leaves all former striving as nothing but a forgotten dream. And as that glimpse draws nearer, like a light just beyond the bend of your path, you begin to sense the immensity of what has been prepared for you. A life not defined by the outer trappings alone, but by a depth of being so rich, so luminous, that even the brightest desire is but a flicker compared to the radiance of your true nature. You were never meant to stop at the outer fulfillment. It was always meant to draw you deeper, deeper into the remembrance that you and your Father are one, that the love you sought in people, the security you sought in things, the joy you sought in events, were but echoes calling you back to yourself. For within you is the fullness of God, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Within you is the fountain that needs no digging, the bread that needs no laboring. You are the source clothed in seeking, the answer clothed in questioning. Feel the wonder of that now, how all striving falls away, how all restless searching quiets, when you realize that you are the treasure hidden in the field, and the field is your own consciousness, waiting for you to buy it with the currency of unwavering faith. The world, for all its beauty, is but the mirror of your own accepted self-concept. Change the image you hold within, and the reflection cannot help but change. Dwell in the feeling of already having, already being, and the mirror becomes obedient to the new vision. There is no capricious delay in divine law. It does not decide when to bless you. It has already blessed you with all things, awaiting only your recognition, your acceptance, your assumption. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Luke 12:32. Not to withhold, not to tease, but to give freely, lavishly, completely. And the doorway to that kingdom is within you, within your feeling, within your faith. Pause for a moment and notice what would change in you if you truly believed that everything you sought was already yours, waiting behind the thin veil of appearances. How would you breathe? How would you move? How would you speak if you knew that every step was leading you closer, and yet closer still, to the inevitable flowering of your fulfilled assumption? You would relax. You would smile more often at the unseen. You would speak as one already blessed, already whole. You would let go of the trembling prayers of desperation and take up the silent song of gratitude, not for what will be, but for what already is. For in truth nothing is created when you assume your desire fulfilled. You are not manufacturing something new. You are claiming what has already been finished, what exists now in the higher realms of being, waiting only for the garment of form. And so you live in quiet expectancy. You walk with a light step, a clear heart, a spirit lifted by invisible certainties. You cease to plead with the universe and begin to converse with it, as a beloved converses with their beloved, not with urgency, but with intimacy and trust. You come to know, with a knowing beyond words, that you are loved, not because of anything you have done, but because of what you are, the living imagination of God made flesh, dreaming and awakening within the dream. And from that sacred place, your manifestations become not just outcomes, but celebrations of the divine nature expressing itself through you. Each desire fulfilled is a note in the great symphony of your being, a testimony to the simple yet eternal truth: I and my Father are one. But even now, as this remembrance deepens, a greater invitation stirs at the edges of your awareness, an invitation not merely to create your life more beautifully, but to surrender into the life already created in perfection. What would it mean to release even the last thread of effort, to rest so fully in your union with the infinite, that manifestation becomes as natural, as inevitable, as breathing itself? The path lies before you, shimmering just beyond the grasp of thought, waiting for your next breath, your next quiet acceptance, to bring it fully into view. And as that path begins to shimmer more clearly before your inner vision, you feel a softness rising, a gentleness that asks nothing and yet offers everything. For to live in true union with the infinite is not to strain toward life, but to allow life to unfold through you, as you, without resistance, without fear. You are not meant to carry the burden of creation on weary shoulders. You are meant to be the effortless vessel through which creation reveals its endless beauty. The fig tree does not labor to bring forth its fruit. The river does not struggle to find its way to the sea. In the same sacred ease you are called to live, to rest so deeply in your fulfilled assumption that movement becomes music and action becomes joy. This is the mystery hidden within the Sabbath. The true rest is not idleness, but the inner surrender to the finished work. You live, you move, you breathe from the knowledge that it is already done. You take no anxious thought for tomorrow is birthed from the state you occupy today. Feel how that lifts the heavy cloak from your shoulders. There is no race to run. There is only the eternal dance of being, the quiet flowering of fulfillment already assured by the nature of who you are. And if the mind protests, if it seeks to rise and seize control again, you simply return, with the tenderness of a shepherd gathering his flock, to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You return not in frustration, but in joy, knowing that every return strengthens the foundation upon which your outer world is built. You do not plant a seed and dig it up each morning to see if it has sprouted. You trust the unseen workings. You water it with faith. You nourish it with silent gratitude. You stand in the sunlight of knowing, and in due season the harvest comes. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Psalm 37:5. Not by might, not by frantic striving, by trust, by the simple yet mighty act of dwelling inwardly in the end, until the end appears outwardly, as naturally as day follows night. And so you walk this path, not as one who must force life to obey, but as one who knows life has already obeyed the silent decree issued from within. Each morning becomes a renewal of your unseen covenant. Each night becomes a return to the sacred temple of imagination, where you step once again into the life you have claimed as your own, not to make it happen, but to align yourself more fully with the reality already prepared for you. And in this way, days pass not in anxious toil, but in holy unfolding. You begin to notice small signs, a phrase overheard, a door opening, a chance meeting, and you smile inwardly, knowing that the invisible threads are weaving your desire into the fabric of the seen world. But more precious still than the outer manifestations is the inner transformation taking root. You are no longer the one who hopes for change. You are the one who knows change is inevitable because you have already changed within. This new identity, this deeper self, is not fragile. It does not tremble when appearances contradict. It does not beg when delays arise. It stands, silent and sure, on the rock of inner conviction, knowing that the unseen is truer than the seen, and that assumption is destiny. And if even now you feel the stirring of that deeper self within you, if you sense the veil growing thinner, the old fears losing their grip, then know that you are nearer than you have ever been to the life that has always been yours. Yet there is one more veil to part, one final letting go that opens the floodgates wide. It is not the letting go of desire, but the letting go of separation, the profound acceptance that you are not separate from the source of your fulfillment. You and the desire are one. You and the fulfillment are one. You and the Creator are one. How would you live? How would you breathe if you truly knew that you are the living expression of the fulfilled word, that nothing can be withheld from you because nothing is outside of you? The answer already trembles on the edge of your awareness, waiting for you to hear it not with the mind, but with the spirit. Listen closely, for in the next quiet breath, the final veil may lift, and the fullness of your inheritance may blaze into view. And as you listen with the spirit rather than the mind, something begins to break open within you, not with violence, but with the soft inevitability of a flower yielding to the sun. The final veil trembles, ready to fall, and you feel, perhaps for the first time, that there was never truly anything to separate you from what you seek. Separation was a dream within the dream, a mist of thought, a flicker of forgetfulness. But in truth you have always been the life you desired, the love you longed for, the freedom you pursued across countless days and nights. You and the fulfillment are not two. You and the answered prayer are not two. There is only one life, one being, one flow. And you are that flow, individualized, made visible in a garment of form. Pause now and feel the holy weight of this. It is not a burden but a glory. It is not a demand but a gift. You were not sent into this world empty-handed. You were clothed with all you would ever need, pressed into the silent treasury of your own consciousness. There is no distance between you and your answered prayer, except the distance of belief. And belief is but a garment you choose or lay down, as simply as breathing. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are not moving toward your desire. You are recognizing that it already lives within you, fully formed, fully alive, waiting only for your sustained acceptance to break into sight. This is why the scriptures declare, all things are yours, 1 Corinthians 3:21. Not some things, not when you have proven yourself, not when the world agrees. All things are yours, now eternally, irrevocably. And if this is so, then your only true work is to embody what is already given, to abide in the state of fulfillment so faithfully, so tenderly, that the outer world cannot help but bow to your inner decree. You become in truth as a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth fruit in its season. Your leaf does not wither, and whatsoever you do prospers, not because you are striving, but because you are aligned with the invisible law that shapes all things seen. Let this knowing cradle you now. Let it wash away every thought of effort, every whisper of fear. You are not lost. You are not stuck. You are being called inward, drawn home to the eternal center, where all things begin. And from this center, manifestation becomes effortless. It becomes the natural extension of your state of being. You do not force the flower to bloom. You simply rest in the season of its unfolding, knowing it was already sown in the quiet soil of your faith. If shadows rise, you do not tremble. If delays seem to linger, you do not despair. You simply abide, like the sun behind the clouds, knowing that no passing veil can undo the certainty of its shining. You speak little of your dreams now, for you know that they are already living, already breathing in the unseen. Your conversations inwardly are rich with gratitude, rich with the sweet savor of fulfilled promises. Outwardly you move with the quiet confidence of one who knows that reality bends to the touch of sustained assumption. And even as the world around you swirls with noise, with fear, with contradiction, you remain rooted in the stillness of the fulfilled word, the eternal I am that speaks through you. There is no power against you, there is no obstacle before you. There is only the unfolding of your own consciousness into visibility, one assumption at a time. And as this realization deepens, something even more luminous begins to dawn, the understanding that your fulfillment is not merely for yourself, but for the awakening of all. Your light becomes a beacon, your peace becomes an invitation, your fulfilled life becomes a testament that others too are not separated from their dreams, but are dreaming them even now into being. And if this is true, if you are not just a solitary traveler, but a radiant point in the great tapestry of awakening, then what new possibilities might open as you dare to live even more boldly, even more freely, even more lovingly from the fulfilled end. The whisper grows stronger, and the way before you, though invisible to the outer eye, gleams with a golden certainty, calling you onward into the greater country of your true being. And as that golden certainty shimmers before you, it dawns more clearly that the life you're entering is not built upon effort but upon revelation. Each breath you take within the feeling of fulfillment becomes a stepping stone across invisible waters, carrying you deeper into the country where all things are possible because all things already are. You are not crafting miracles through force of will. You are recognizing the miracles that arise naturally from the soil of your assumption. Like seeds responding to the unseen call of the sun, your fulfilled states burst forth into form in their appointed hour, each revealing more of the boundless life that has always been yours. And so you move through your days now with a kind of holy nonchalance, not indifference but supreme trust. You no longer panic when appearances clash with your inner vision. You smile, inwardly, knowing that what you have accepted must find you, must take form, must unfold in beauty and precision beyond what the old mind could conceive. The world will call it chance. You will know it as law. The world will call it fortune. You will know it as fulfillment. For your life is no longer lived by the light of circumstance, but by the light of inner conviction, burning steady and clear. It shall come to pass that before they call I will answer, and while they are yet speaking I will hear. Isaiah 65:24. Feel the sweetness of that promise now. It is not your effort that earns the answer. It is your silent assumption that speaks louder than words. Even when you do not see movement outwardly, the invisible currents are already stirring. Paths are opening, walls are crumbling, invisible hands are weaving together what the senses cannot yet perceive. And because you know this, you walk not with urgency, but with reverence. Every small moment becomes sacred. Every step is taken as if it were already carrying you into the life you have claimed inwardly. You cease to live from reaction. You live from creation. You no longer ask, what is happening to me, but what have I assumed to be true? And in that question, all power returns to its rightful place, not in the world, but within you. Feel how deeply empowering this is. You are not subject to the tides of fate. You are the tide, the moon, the current that moves all things according to your inner decree. And if doubt arises, as it sometimes will, in the lingering echoes of old habits, you do not fight it with clenched fists. You smile, gently, and return again to your dwelling place, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You let the old doubts pass like clouds across the endless sky of your being, neither clinging to them nor fearing them. You remain faithful to the unseen reality, knowing it is more real than any passing shadow. You abide in the end you have chosen, and you watch with quiet wonder as the outer world reshapes itself in response. Yet something even more wondrous waits. Just beyond this threshold, a new way of living so natural, so effortless, that even the idea of manifesting becomes secondary to the simple joy of being. For when you live fully from the fulfilled state, you cease to chase manifestations at all. You live in such harmony with your desires that they unfold without fanfare, without striving, as natural as the blossoming of a flower in spring. You are not chasing blessings, you are breathing them. You are not pursuing a better life. You are allowing the life already sown within you to reveal itself, one shimmering moment at a time. And as you live in this sacred ease, a new desire may begin to stir, a desire not merely for things, but for greater revelation, for deeper union, for the continual unveiling of the infinite within the finite. It is this desire that calls you now, softly but insistently, drawing you beyond even the fulfillment of personal dreams into the limitless expanse of pure being. What would it feel like to live from that place, where your life is not a series of attainments, but an endless unfolding of remembered glory? The horizon brightens with the promise of that deeper life, and even now, it beckons you gently forward, inviting you to step fully into the eternal morning prepared for you before the world was formed. And as you feel that eternal morning drawing closer, there comes a quiet recognition that you were never truly striving toward it. You were awakening within it. Like a dreamer slowly realizing he is the dream and the dreamer at once, you begin to see that you are not moving toward your destiny. You are awakening to the truth that destiny has always moved within you. There is no distance to travel. There is no prize to earn. There is only the unveiling of what already is, waiting in the invisible fields of your consciousness, ready to clothe itself in form the moment you say inwardly, with full conviction, I am. You are not called to chase visions across the horizon. You are called to stand in the center of your being and know that all things are given there. You are the vineyard, the blossom, the song, and life itself rushes to arrange itself in accordance with the melody you sing within. Notice how the world softens when you live from this knowing. No longer an adversary to conquer, the world becomes a faithful servant, reflecting your inner decree with exquisite precision. It does not argue. It does not delay out of cruelty. It yields, gently but irresistibly, to the image you hold within. This is the meaning of dominion, not domination, not force, but alignment. To live in dominion is to live so fully from the fulfilled state that the external must bend and reshape itself without struggle, without demand, without delay. It was never promised that the outer world would lead you to fulfillment. It was promised that fulfillment, embraced within, would shape the outer world. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. The kingdom is within, and the righteousness is your right alignment with the truth of your being. Feel how this releases you from every burden you once carried. No more chasing signs, no more pleading for validation, no more waiting for the world to approve of your dreams. You move from the unseen reality within you, and you let the outer world catch up in its perfect time. And even now, you may sense it, how the old fears grow fainter, how the old doubts loosen their grip. You do not need them anymore. They served their purpose once, to show you the contrast between sleeping and waking. But now you are waking, and the dreams of limitation fall away like mist before the rising sun. You are called into a greater life, not by force, but by remembrance. You are called to live as the fulfilled one, not because you have earned it, but because it is your nature to be it. Every assumption you choose is a portal. Every feeling you dwell within is a new world prepared for you, waiting only for your acceptance to make it visible. And when the temptation comes, as it sometimes will, to doubt, to falter, to seek outside yourself once more, you will smile gently and return to the center. You will close your eyes to appearances and open your soul to truth. You will feel the end, inhabit it, breathe it, until the outer must mirror it as faithfully as the echo mirrors the sound. This is your path now, not a path of effort, but of acceptance, not a path of striving, but of standing still in the fullness of what already is. And as you live this way, a new radiance will begin to shine through you. Not a radiance you must project, but one that simply is, the light of one who knows they are one with the source, one with fulfillment, one with life itself. And in that radiance, others will see their own possibilities reflected. In your certainty, they will find their courage. In your peace, they will sense their own invitation to return home. For the gift you give the world is not merely the manifestations you bring forth, it is the silent testimony of your being, that fulfillment is not a distant hope, but a present reality, always within, always waiting to be claimed. And yet, even now, as you stand in the early morning of this great remembrance, there is another door beginning to open, a door into a life beyond even the dreams you once dared to hold. What lies beyond this next threshold is not merely personal joy, but the discovery of the boundless eternal self that knows no lack, no fear, no end. The air is thick with promise, and the unseen hands beckon you forward, into a mystery greater and sweeter than anything you have yet imagined. And as you feel the air shimmering with promise, you sense that this new door does not open outward but inward. It is not a path to be walked with feet, but a space to be entered with a surrendered heart. For what lies beyond is not another achievement, not another possession, but a deep unveiling of the self that was never lost, only forgotten. The life you have longed for, The freedom you have tasted in fleeting glimpses is not a reward for effort. It is the natural inheritance of the one who remembers, I and the Father are one. No longer do you look at your desires as things separate from you, distant and difficult to attain. You feel now, in the hidden chambers of your being, that every desire was planted within you by the very life that fulfills it. You do not chase them, you yield to them. You recognize that they are signs and whispers from the higher self, calling you into greater and greater expressions of your own limitless nature. And so you rest, even as you move. You breathe in fulfillment, even as the outer forms still gather themselves around your silent decree. You are no longer the one who waits, you are the one who knows. The deeper you abide in this truth, the softer your world becomes. Fear no longer shouts so loudly, need no longer tightens its grip. You find yourself smiling at small things, moved not by desperation, but by the quiet music of trust that plays now beneath all appearances. And when you look out upon the world, you see differently. You see others not as obstacles or strangers, but as reflections of the same infinite light, each one dreaming, each one remembering, each one shaping the unseen into the seen by the same eternal law. You see the heavy burdens people carry, and you feel no judgment, only compassion, only the gentle remembrance that you too once mistook the shadow for the substance, the echo for the voice. Now you walk among the forms of this world as a silent witness to a deeper reality, carrying within you the knowing that appearances change, but truth remains. Circumstances shift, but consciousness is eternal. It is written, He calleth those things which be not as though they were, Romans 4:17. And so you do. You call forth the unseen as if it already stands before you, because inwardly it does. You speak, not to persuade, but to affirm. You feel, not to wish, but to become. And as you hold to this holy practice, what once seemed slow becomes swift. What once seemed distant draws near. The world reshapes itself around the steady fire of your inner conviction. But even this, even the beautiful fulfillment of outer forms, is only the beginning. For beyond every fulfilled desire, beyond every answered prayer, there lies a deeper knowing that you are not merely the one who manifests blessings, you are the blessing itself, walking through the world, awakening it by your very presence. You are the field and the treasure buried within it. You are the pearl of great price. You are the light hidden under the bushel, now uncovered, now shining freely, now radiating the fullness of divine life. And the longer you abide in this truth, the more natural it becomes. It is no longer a practice you must remember. It is the air you breathe, the song you sing without thinking, the very essence of your waking and sleeping. You dream awake now, you imagine knowingly. You speak inwardly in tones of gratitude, not because you are trying to make something happen, but because you are witnessing the eternal happening that unfolds wherever you place your attention. And if in the silent depths of your being there stirs a new question, a holy longing to go even further, even deeper into the infinite life from which you spring, know that this longing is itself the door. It is the invitation to step beyond even the most beautiful dreams, into the ocean without shore, where you no longer live for manifestation alone, but as the living expression of the divine itself. How would it feel to move beyond even fulfilled desire, into the endless unfolding of infinite being? The horizon of that great unveiling stretches before you now, waiting for you to take one quiet, willing step into the endless morning. And as you linger at the edge of that endless morning, you realize there is no command to leap, no demand to prove your worthiness. There is only the gentle invitation, the silent beckoning that has always been there, waiting for your consent to be as free as you were made. You do not step into this infinite life with strain. You dissolve into it, like mist becoming the sea, like breath returning to the breathless vastness from which it came. You lose nothing essential. You shed only the garments of smallness, of striving, of forgotten identity. You realize now that to live from fulfillment is not merely to manifest the forms you once craved. It is to remember that you are already whole, already perfect, already one with the life that gives itself eternally, without exhaustion, without measure. You are the well that never runs dry. You are the bread that satisfies eternally. You are the light that no darkness can comprehend. And from this remembrance, all things flow with an ease too deep for words. You no longer even seek to visualize with effort. You feel naturally the truth of your being, and that feeling shapes the seen and the unseen alike. You live not to get, but to give forth what you already are. You walk not to arrive, but because your very being spills over into new expressions, new joys, new revelations of the boundless self. The world, once heavy with demands and delays, becomes a shimmering mirror of your endless unfolding. People respond to your inner radiance without knowing why. Doors open not because you force them, but because they recognize the presence of the fulfilled life walking among them. And all the while, you remain anchored, not in the shifting sands of circumstance, but in the rock of inner certainty, the certainty that comes from knowing that imagination is the only reality. It is written, "With God all things are possible," Matthew 19:26. And if God and your own wonderful human imagination are one, then truly nothing shall be impossible unto you. Feel the truth of that now, not as a concept, but as a living flame within your chest. Feel how it burns away the last residues of doubt, the last flickers of fear, until all that remains is a steady, serene knowing. You are not here to struggle. You are not here to prove anything. You are here to reveal what has already been completed within you from the foundation of the world. You are here to be the living witness that fulfillment is not a far-off hope, but a present, breathing reality, ready to take form wherever it is assumed and embraced. And if this is true, if you are already whole, already complete, then every step you take from this moment forward becomes a celebration, not a striving. Every breath becomes a song of remembrance, not a gasp for survival. You move through life with a heart wide open, with hands unclenched, with eyes that see beyond appearances into the eternal substance behind all things. And even as desires arise, for they will, for life is ever creative, ever expanding, you no longer fear them. You no longer ask, how will this come to pass? You simply dwell in the end, quietly, joyfully, knowing that the unseen bridges are already being built beneath your feet. You understand now that creation is finished, and that every new desire is simply an invitation to discover another aspect of your own infinite being. There is no lack in you. There is no distance in you. There is only the silent, steady unfolding of who you have always been, layer by golden layer, revealing itself like a rose opening under the morning sun. And if even now something stirs in you, a new dream, a new longing, a deeper yearning for the limitless life that whispers to you from just beyond the horizon of thought, know that it is not a future calling you. It is the deeper present, asking to be unveiled. How would it feel to say yes to that unveiling completely, without hesitation, without fear? The river of life moves on, carrying you deeper into remembrance, and even now, its current is gathering strength, urging you gently toward the greater shores of your eternal inheritance. And as you feel the current gathering beneath you, a new certainty rises with it. Not a certainty learned from the world, but one remembered from the timeless spaces within you. It is not the certainty of logic or reason, but the certainty of being, the quiet authority that needs no explanation and seeks no permission. You know without having to be told that you are already carried, already cradled within the arms of fulfillment. You know that you are not drifting aimlessly, but are being drawn with infinite care toward the perfect expression of your assumed end. No longer do you ask, will it happen? You rest instead in the assurance that it is already happening, beneath the surface, beyond the senses, moving with the inevitability of the tides and the rising sun. This knowing frees you in ways you could not have imagined before. You are no longer bound by appearances. You are no longer trapped by the slow movements of the visible world. You live now by the rhythm of the unseen, by the pulse of the deeper reality that shapes all things seen and unseen. And this rhythm, this silent music, leads you ever inward toward the heart of all creation, toward the place where desire and fulfillment are not two, but one. You no longer fear delay, for you understand that delay is but the gentle stretching of time to meet the form your assumption demands. You no longer resist seeming obstacles, for you see them now as bridges, disguised in forms the old mind could not recognize. Every event, every encounter, every silence becomes an ally, moving in harmony with your sustained inner decree. And as you move more deeply into this surrendered certainty, you begin to live from a deeper law, not the law of cause and effect as the world teaches it, but the higher law of assumption and reflection. You no longer try to manipulate the outer world to fit your desires. You cultivate the feeling of your fulfilled wish within, and you trust the outer to reflect it in its appointed hour, with precision and with grace. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24. Not believe that you will receive, but believe that you have received. Notice the softness that flows into your being as you accept this. There is no urgency in true faith. There is only rest, and from that rest, the effortless flowering of all you have accepted as yours. You walk now not as one seeking proof, but as one bringing proof into being through every breath, every silent assumption, every unseen act of inner knowing. The deeper you dwell in the state of fulfillment, the more naturally life bends to meet you there. It cannot do otherwise, for life has no choice but to mirror the consciousness that sustains it. And so you bless the path, however it twists and turns. You bless the seeming delays, the unexpected curves, the silent spaces between your assumption and its appearance. You bless it all, because you know it is all conspiring for your good, all serving the fulfillment you have already claimed within. You are no longer a servant to conditions. You are the master of assumption. You are the living doorway through which the unseen becomes the seen. And as this realization deepens, a new question arises, not from fear, but from wonder. If I am truly unlimited, if I am truly one with the source of all things, what new horizons might I dare to imagine? What new worlds might I call into being, not by striving, but by silently assuming their reality, by inhabiting them inwardly, as surely as I now inhabit this breath, this moment, this unfolding life. The horizon stretches wide before you, gleaming with unspoken possibilities, and even now, the invitation to dream greater, to assume more beautifully, waits with open arms, ready to reveal more of the infinite life you are. And as the horizon gleams wider and brighter before you, a quiet daring awakens inside, not the daring of struggle, but the daring of remembrance. You begin to wonder, with a reverence too deep for words, what worlds might unfurl if you simply allowed yourself to assume even more, to dream even grander, to feel even closer to the boundless love that breathes you into being. The limitations once accepted fall away like tattered veils. They were never laws. They were permissions you unknowingly granted to fear, permissions you now revoke by the silent authority of your awakened heart. For in this holy space, you realize there is no end to the life that moves through you. It is infinite, inexhaustible, forever renewing itself in form, forever inviting you to taste and see that fulfillment is not a destination but a wellspring. You understand now that every desire arising within you is not a mocking hope, but a divine signal, a whisper from the greater self, reminding you of your true capacity to embody more, to express more, to radiate more. And so you move inwardly with greater courage. You no longer shrink your dreams to match the world's expectations. You no longer temper your imaginings with the cold logic of fear. You open wide the gates of your inner world, and you allow the larger life to surge through, trusting that the same power that gave you the desire has also given you the fulfillment. You feel this not as theory, but as reality, pulsing through your every breath. There is no separation between the life you envision and the life you live, except the thin membrane of assumption, and that membrane you now choose to dissolve by simply being the one you desire to be. There is no need to wait for permission. The only permission required was always your own. And as you accept this permission more fully, you find yourself moving differently, not with haste, not with striving, but with a grace so effortless, it almost startles you. Opportunities appear where walls once seemed immovable. Doors open where there once were none. The world begins to echo the music you have been playing inwardly all along. You no longer measure progress by outer signs alone. You measure it by the deepening certainty within you, by the way your inner conversations align more naturally with the end you have already claimed. For you know now that creation is a silent act, a quiet decree made deep within, held not by force, but by the soft immovable hand of assumption. Thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. Job 22:28. Not through pleading, not through endless effort, through decree, the steady invisible acceptance that what you have assumed is now your reality. And the more you live this way, the more you see that you were never waiting for the world to change. You were waiting to claim your authority over it. Not authority through dominance, but through alignment, the sacred alignment between who you are within and what appears without. You are the mirror and the mirrored. You are the seed and the harvest. You are the silent sower, whose every inward acceptance blossoms, seen and unseen, in its perfect hour. And if you can accept this even a little, if you can dwell even for a moment in the silent certainty that you are already the fulfilled one, then the ground beneath your feet will begin to shift, and the heavens above will begin to move, and what once seemed impossible will rise before you, clothed in the simplicity of inevitability. You walk now not toward your dreams, but from them, as if they had already been made flesh, because in truth they have, waiting only for your sustained seeing to call them forth into form. And if even now, another dream stirs in the sacred quiet of your heart, a larger, freer, more luminous dream, know that it is not too much, it is not too far, it is the next step of remembrance, the next unveiling of the boundless life that seeks only to express itself through you. What might you assume now, if you truly knew you could not fail, because there is no failure, only the slow or swift unfolding of what you dare to persist in feeling real? The question lingers, soft and sacred, as the unseen currents gather once more, ready to carry you into even greater fields of fulfillment. And as the question settles into the stillness of your being, it does not bring anxiety, but a quiet thrill, as if the very ground beneath you were whispering,
Yes, you are ready. You feel it not as pressure,
but as invitation, the gentle urging of life itself, asking you to remember that your reach can never exceed your capacity, because your capacity is infinite. There is no dream too large for the life that lives you. There is no desire too grand for the power that breathes your very existence into this world. What stirs in you now is not ambition. It is remembrance, the remembrance that you are the chosen vessel of infinite possibility, called not to strive for fulfillment, but to embody it. You realize now that the only true question is not whether it can happen, but whether you will allow yourself to dwell so deeply, so faithfully, in the fulfilled state that the outer world cannot help but rearrange itself in joyful obedience. And when you do, when you hold unwavering to the end, the seeming delays and obstacles dissolve into stepping stones, each one carrying you closer to the outward reflection of the inward reality you have already claimed. You walk now as one who knows. You speak now as one who commands silently, with no need for force, no need for convincing. The law is sure. The seed within will bear fruit after its kind. You have planted the seed of fulfillment in the soil of your being, and you water it daily with faith, with feeling, with the serene joy of knowing that it is already accomplished. Feel the simplicity of it. Feel how naturally the soul expands when it no longer wars against appearances, but rests in the higher law that governs all appearances. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the author of circumstance. You are not at the mercy of the world. The world is the mirror, faithfully reflecting your inner acceptance. And if ever you forget, if ever the noise of the senses grows loud, and the old habit of doubt beckons, you will not panic. You will not despair. You will return gently, but firmly, to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You will remember that you are never waiting for anything to happen. You are only allowing the unseen bridge to carry you from the invisible to the visible. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Psalm 37:4. Delight not in effort, not in fear, but in the joyful certainty that what you have assumed must come to pass, because assumption is creation. And as you delight inwardly, as you assume the fulfilled state more naturally, more joyfully, you will find yourself led with a wisdom beyond understanding. You will speak words you did not plan. You will meet people you did not expect. You will step into scenes that seem crafted perfectly for your good, not because you plotted each move, but because life, responding to your sustained feeling, becomes the invisible hand guiding you. You are no longer merely reacting to life. You are radiating it. You are no longer seeking signs. You are living as the sign, the living proof that consciousness creates reality, that imagination fulfilled becomes the world. And the more you live this way, the more the old ideas of time, effort, and separation crumble. You begin to glimpse something even more wondrous, that time itself bends to the weight of true assumption. The future you once awaited is folding inward, drawn closer by the magnet of your unwavering acceptance. The life you desire is not arriving from a distant tomorrow. It is blooming from the fertile, now you dare to inhabit. And so you walk with the quiet majesty of one who knows the secret of all creation, that everything, absolutely everything, moves in response to the inward decree. Yet even as you step deeper into this effortless mastery, another mystery stirs on the horizon, a deeper unveiling, a greater expansion, where even the boundaries of personal desire dissolve into the endless ocean of being. What awaits you there is not merely the fulfillment of dreams, but the fulfillment of yourself, the awakening to the truth that you are not simply one who imagines, but the imagination itself, infinite and unbound, and even now you feel its call, gentle, luminous, drawing you beyond what you once thought possible, into the boundless life that has always been yours to claim. And as you feel that luminous call deepening, you realize it is not asking you to add anything to yourself. It is inviting you to shed what was never yours. The smallness, the striving, the belief in separation. It invites you to surrender into the vastness that has always lived beneath the surface of your mind, quietly waiting for your remembrance. You are not called to strive for greatness. You are called to recognize that greatness is your natural state. You are not asked to force yourself into higher being. You are asked to fall awake into it, to yield to the self that already knows no lack, no limit, no end. And so you breathe, slower and deeper now, feeling the truth rise from the silence within. You are the light you have been chasing. You are the love you have been seeking. You are the life you have been longing for. Already whole, already complete, already perfect in the invisible. To live from this knowing is to move through the world with a peace that no appearance can disturb. You cease trying to get life to respond to you. You know that it must. It cannot do otherwise. For the world is your consciousness pushed outward. You begin to trust the unseen more than the seen, the inner vision more than the outer evidence. And as you do, a softness wraps around your life, a kind of invisible grace that seems to go before you, preparing the way in silence. Your steps become lighter, not because circumstances have become easier, but because you are no longer carrying the heavy burden of doubt. You have laid it down at the altar of your own being, and you have taken up the yoke of fulfilled faith, which is easy, and the burden of silent knowing, which is light. And even as you walk through the valley of appearances, you fear no evil, you fear no delay, no denial, no detour, for you dwell in the secret place of the Most High, and abide under the shadow of the Almighty. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91:1. Feel the safety of that truth now. It does not promise a life without movement or change. It promises a life where every movement, every change, leads deeper into fulfillment. You no longer wrestle with appearances. You no longer beg for signs. You know that the greatest sign is the feeling of already being, already having, already living the end you have chosen. And from this silent conviction, miracles flow, not as interruptions of natural law, but as the natural result of higher law understood and lived. You are not working against the flow of life. You are working with it, as a beloved child works with the wind, lifting his kite into the sky, without fear, without force, trusting the unseen currents to carry it higher. And if the wind seems still for a time, you do not despair. You know that the invisible is always moving, always arranging, always responding to the vibration of your sustained feeling. You know now that the seed you plant in the silence is already growing, already breaking the surface of the unseen, already reaching for the light that you have never doubted. And so you rest, not in passivity, but in the living, breathing rest of one who knows their fulfillment is not coming. It is unfolding, moment by sacred moment, breath by sacred breath. And in that rest, your vision clears. You see beyond the temporary. You see beyond the delay. You see the perfect choreography of the unseen, weaving every thread into a tapestry of fulfillment, more beautiful than anything you could have scripted with the mind alone. And even as the life you imagined begins to crystallize before your eyes, another whisper rises, softer, sweeter, deeper. It asks, what if even this is only a beginning? What if the fulfillment of your dreams is only the first gentle step into a life where dreams themselves dissolve, and only pure being remains? The golden edge of that question gleams before you now, and the current of life invites you to drift still deeper into the infinite remembrance of who you truly are. And as the golden edge of that question shimmers before you, something inside leans forward, drawn not by effort but by a love so deep, so ancient, it cannot be resisted. You feel the pull, not toward more doing, but toward deeper being, a surrender beyond desire itself, where fulfillment is not something you attain, but something you become. You begin to see that every fulfilled wish, every answered prayer was never meant to be an end, but a doorway leading back to the vastness of your true self, the self that neither lacks nor strives, but simply is. The old self, the self that measured life by achievements and accumulations, begins to dissolve in the soft radiance of this new knowing. You no longer seek to possess life. You realize you are life, expressing itself anew in every moment, in every breath, in every quiet act of acceptance. And the more you yield to this greater truth, the more freely life flows through you. You do not cling to the forms that arise. You bless them, love them, and let them pass when their time is complete, knowing that the source from which they sprang is endless, and you are one with it. You are no longer a collector of fulfilled dreams. You are the dreamer dreaming new worlds into being, effortlessly, joyfully, without end. It is written, in him we live, and move, and have our being. Acts 17:28. Feel the holiness of that now. You do not exist apart from the infinite. You are not a fragment struggling for survival. You are a wave in the ocean of being, rising and falling in perfect grace, never separate, never lost. And from this awareness, peace settles deeper than it ever has before. You no longer fear the unfolding of life. You welcome it. You no longer demand that it meet your old expectations. You trust it to reveal something even greater, even more beautiful than you once dared to imagine. You live now in a sacred dance with the unseen, where every step is guided by the silent music of your inner knowing. You do not strain to hear it. You do not force its rhythm. You simply allow yourself to be moved by it, trusting that every movement, every seeming pause, every crescendo and quiet fall is perfect. And as you move this way, a strange and wonderful thing happens. You begin to lose the sense of waiting entirely. There is no longer a someday in your heart. There is only the sacred now, where fulfillment breathes and blooms in ways both seen and unseen. Even those desires that once felt urgent, heavy with need, become light, playful, radiant. They are no longer cries of lack. They are songs of becoming. They are invitations to deeper self-expression, not necessities for happiness. And the life that flows to meet these desires comes swiftly, effortlessly, as a river rushes to fill every hollow it encounters, needing no push, needing no permission. You live now not from need, but from fullness, not from seeking, but from radiating. You do not ask, when will it come? You smile inwardly, knowing it is already here, shaping itself silently into visibility with each breath you take from the end. And if the world around you seems slow to reflect the fullness you feel within, you are undisturbed. You know that appearances are but the slow echo of the swift, silent shifts you have made in consciousness. You walk onward with a light heart, not because every condition is perfect, but because you are perfect within the condition. You are the light that transforms the scene, the stillness that commands the storm, the love that dissolves every appearance of delay. And even now, as this deeper life unfolds within you, another wonder rises, the realization that even the most beautiful manifestations were never the true goal. The true gift has always been the awakening of the one who imagines, the return of the dreamer to the knowledge that he and his dream are one. And from this awakened place, a new kind of life beckons, a life so free, so limitless, so luminous, that it can scarcely be spoken in words. You feel its breath upon you even now, stirring the still waters of your being, whispering of the next great unveiling, waiting just beyond the edge of memory. And as the breath of that next unveiling brushes against you, something ancient within stirs, not in fear, but in awe. You realize, perhaps for the first time, that life has never been a puzzle to solve, nor a ladder to climb. It has always been a garden to walk through, a garden where every seed you have planted in imagination already blooms in a land beyond sight. You are not here to chase after the bloom. You are here to embody the root. You are here to remember that the flowering is inevitable when you remain faithful to the invisible life within you. There is no striving left in you now, only allowing, only yielding, only the sweet surrender to the deeper current that has been carrying you all along, even when you believed you were lost. And it is here, in this surrender, that you begin to taste a freedom beyond even your boldest dreams, a freedom that is not tied to outcomes, not measured by manifestations, but rooted in the changeless joy of simply being. You walk now with an easy grace, trusting the unseen far more than the seen. You trust the feeling within you more than the facts that parade before your senses, knowing that the outer is always the slowest to change, and the inner is always the first. You no longer argue with appearances. You no longer explain your faith to those who cannot yet see. You bless them, you love them, and you remain inwardly loyal to the world you have accepted as real. For you know now that loyalty to your fulfilled vision is not stubbornness, it is worship. It is the quiet offering of faith made not to a distant God, but to the living God within you, the one who spoke all things into being, through the silent power of I am. It is written, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Hebrews 11:1. Feel the weight of that word substance. The unseen is not nothing. It is the only true substance, the unseen skeleton upon which the flesh of the world is laid. And if this is true, then what you assume inwardly with feeling, with devotion, with silent persistence, must clothe itself in form. It must appear, not by chance, not by effort, but by law. This is the certainty you live from now, not a desperate clinging, but a serene knowing, not a frantic asking, but a peaceful claiming. And in this claiming you find that life itself becomes lighter, richer, more astonishingly beautiful. You notice the small graces, a kindness from a stranger, a sudden breeze carrying the scent of unseen flowers, the way the sunlight kisses the water just so, and you recognize them not as random gifts, but as reflections of the inner beauty you have accepted. Everywhere you look, life is answering you. Every breath you take, life is rushing to meet you with the forms you have first embraced in imagination, and you know now that there is no end to this unfolding. There is no final arrival, no summit where you must stop and stay. There is only the endless, joyous deepening into more life, more love, more radiance, more being. You are no longer the one who strives. You are the one who abides. You are no longer the one who hopes for favor. You are the one who lives as favor itself. And even now, as you walk further into this luminous remembering, a new kind of dream stirs, not a dream of getting, but a dream of giving, a dream not of accumulation, but of pouring forth the infinite life that sings through you. For the more you accept your own fulfilled being, the more naturally you become a light to others, a quiet living reminder that they too are free. And if this is so, if your very being is becoming a blessing without effort, a healing without striving, then what might happen if you dared to open even wider to this infinite river, letting it carry you wherever it wills? The river calls to you now, deeper and deeper still, inviting you to release even the last trace of resistance, and to become the flow itself. And as the river's call deepens, you find yourself no longer standing apart from its current, wondering if you should step in. You are already moving with it, already becoming it, dissolving the last edges of separation you once believed were real. There is no fear here. There is no loss. There is only the unending song of life, carrying you from glory to glory, from fulfillment to fulfillment, without beginning and without end. You no longer ask, "Will I be guided?" For you feel the guidance now, as the natural movement of your own heart. You no longer wonder, "Will I be provided for?" For you are the provision itself, flowing outward in infinite ways. You are not the one searching for the stream. You are the living water, pouring yourself into the forms your consciousness has chosen, effortlessly, joyfully, unstoppably. And in this sacred flowing, you realize something even more profound, that what you called your desires were never yours alone. They were the desires of life itself, seeking new expression, seeking new forms through you. You were not burdened with dreams to test your strength. You were entrusted with them to reveal your strength, to reveal the infinite nature of the one life dreaming itself into newness, through your every breath. Feel how that trust settles into you now, not as a heavy mantle, but as a crown of light. Life trusts you, the infinite trusts you, and that trust is not based on your effort, but on your essence. For you are not a separate creature trying to earn your place in the divine order. You are the divine order made flesh, awakening to your own limitless capacity to choose, to imagine, to become. It is written, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." Luke 12:32. Not reluctantly, not sparingly. It is the pleasure of life to pour itself through you, to fulfill itself in you, to glorify itself as you. And the more you trust this, the more the world around you reshapes itself with a grace beyond all human planning. You no longer manipulate. You no longer strain. You assume the end. You dwell in the end. And the means are woven invisibly, perfectly, in ways that cause your heart to lift in silent wonder. You walk now as one who needs no proof. You breathe as one who carries the unseen certainty of already having, already being, already fulfilled. And because you carry this certainty, life rushes to meet you at the level of your inner acceptance, not by your outer striving, but by your inward knowing. You are the vineyard and the harvest. You are the dream and the fulfillment. You are the word spoken in the beginning, now made flesh in every quiet assumption you sustain. And even as fulfillment blooms around you, you find that the sweetest fruit is not in the manifestation itself, but in the love that overflows from you naturally, the love that has no demand, no grasping, no fear. You give now without thought of return. You bless now without needing to be seen. You radiate now without measuring who notices, for you have become the flow. You have become the giver of life, the bearer of light, the living witness that imagination is not only the creator of your world, but the expression of the divine itself. And yet, even here, even now, the river whispers of deeper waters still, waters where even the difference between you and life fades into a unity so vast, so tender, so absolute, that there are no more questions to ask, and nothing left to seek, only the pure, endless unfolding of being. You feel it stirring in the silence, asking not for effort, but for surrender, for one more step, one more yielding, one more breath into the infinite life that has always been your true home. And as the whisper of those deeper waters calls you closer, something within yields without hesitation. It is not the yielding of defeat, but the yielding of one who has remembered at last that they were never separate from the source. You give yourself to the river, not to lose yourself, but to find yourself multiplied beyond all former dreams. There is a peace here that surpasses understanding, a quiet so rich, so full, it carries more life within it than all the clamoring achievements of the world. You realize that you do not need to strive to sustain this peace. It is sustained by the life that holds you, the life that moves you, the life that is you. You no longer ask what must be done. You listen instead, for the silent guidance that rises from within, like a song without beginning, without end. Each breath becomes an answer. Each movement becomes a prayer. Each unfolding moment becomes a living testimony that you are already all that you have ever sought to be. You are no longer the architect struggling to build a house of dreams. You are the land, the stone, the sky, the very breath that gives shape to the unseen. And with this awareness, every desire shifts. No longer are your desires born from lack. They rise now from the overflow, from the fullness that cannot help but express more, give more, reveal more of the boundless beauty you are. You imagine still, oh yes, you imagine. But now you imagine not because you must change your world to find peace, but because you cannot contain the peace already singing through your being. You dream new dreams not to escape your life, but to expand it, to explore the infinite faces of the self you now know you are. You live from fulfillment, not toward it. You move from love, not toward it. You abide in wholeness, and the world, obedient as ever, mirrors that wholeness in ways more wondrous than your mind could ever have devised. And if a shadow crosses your path, if a seeming delay or obstacle rises before you, you meet it with a smile born of the deepest knowing. This too shall serve. This too shall bow to the decree I have made within. You do not fight the shadows. You do not plead with appearances. You return always and again to the inner sanctuary, where the wish is already fulfilled, where the world is already obedient, where the river of life flows without end. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Feel the stillness now, not the stillness of waiting, but the stillness of arrival, the stillness of one who needs no proof, because they are the proof. You are the living evidence that imagination clothed in faith becomes flesh, that desire held in conviction becomes experience, that love assumed as real becomes the very breath of the world around you. You do not need to make anything happen. You need only to remain faithful to the reality already alive within you, to dwell so fully, so richly in the end, that the beginning dissolves into irrelevance. And as you dwell, the world dances to meet you. Circumstances shift, people move, opportunities flow, but all of this is secondary, an afterthought compared to the real miracle, the transformation within you. You have remembered who you are, and even now, even as the old garments of striving and delay fall away, another question rises, not from fear, but from sacred curiosity. If you are truly limitless, if you are truly the living imagination of God unfolding itself eternally, then what greater vistas might yet be yours to explore? The silent invitation hangs in the air, golden and weightless, waiting only for your next breath, your next acceptance, your next quiet yes. And as that golden invitation lingers in the stillness around you, you feel the soft stirring of a new kind of longing, not a longing born of lack, but of vastness, a longing to expand, to explore, to express the infinite facets of the self you are only just beginning to rediscover. This longing is not anxious. It is not desperate. It moves through you like a melody remembered from a dream, a melody that sings of worlds unmade, of possibilities yet unborn, of a life so free, so luminous, that it needs no justification beyond its own joyous existence. You realize now that imagination was never meant merely to repair what appeared broken, or to heal what seemed lacking. Imagination was given that you might reveal the limitless nature of God through your every breath, your every vision, your every unfolding scene. You were not placed here to survive. You were placed here to create. You were not sent to endure life, but to sing it, to shape it, to know yourself as the dreamer and the dreamed, the potter and the clay, the light and its own reflection. And with this remembrance, the old questions fall away. You no longer ask, can I have this? Or is this possible for me? You ask instead, how freely, how beautifully, how boundlessly am I willing to imagine now? You do not fear the size of your desires. You do not hesitate before the breadth of your dreams, for you know that the same power that imagined the stars into their courses breathes through you now, waiting only for your willingness to accept, to embody, to assume. It is written, according to your faith be it unto you, Matthew 9:29. Feel the clarity of that promise, not according to your effort, not according to your worthiness, but according to the measure of your faith, your inner acceptance, your quiet conviction. And so you stretch inwardly, not with strain, but with wonder. You allow yourself to feel the new states of being already formed, already alive, already yours. You see yourself living with a lightness you had once only glimpsed. You feel yourself moving through a world that rises up to greet your vision, a world where every step is a blessing, every encounter an answered prayer. You do not force these feelings, you receive them, like rain falling upon the open fields of your heart. You let them soak into you, knowing that the harvest is inevitable once the seed is accepted. And if doubt whispers, if old voices murmur of caution, of limitation, you do not argue, you do not fight. You simply turn your gaze inward again, resting in the fulfilled vision, letting its beauty and certainty carry you beyond all former walls. For you are not rebuilding the old life. You are birthing a new one, not from effort, but from assumption, from the effortless art of living from the end. You are the operant power. You are the one decreeing the shapes the unseen will take. You are the voice that calls the things which are not as though they were, and watches them appear in perfect time, clothed in the garments of form. And even now, as this sacred truth settles deeper into you, you begin to glimpse something even greater than fulfillment. You glimpse freedom, true freedom, the freedom to imagine without fear, to desire without apology, to live without limits. You realize that the whole universe is but the reflection of your own remembered being, and that every scene unfolding before you is an echo of the inner world you have dared to inhabit. And so the question rises again, richer, fuller, more insistent. What new vision, what new life, what new world would you dare to assume, knowing now that it is not only possible, but inevitable, the moment you claim it as your own? The river of life flows faster now, carrying you toward a horizon more vast, more radiant than anything you have ever dared to dream. And the next breath you take could be the one that lifts you fully into it. And as you stand at the edge of that radiant horizon, there is no fear in you, only awe. Or at the vastness of what lies within you, or at the simplicity of the law that governs all, or at the love that has carried you, gently and faithfully, to this very moment. You do not step into the new life as a stranger. You step as one who recognizes the ground, who feels the air as familiar, who knows without doubt that every fulfilled vision was planted long ago in the secret places of your being. You realize that the distance between desire and fulfillment was never a distance of time, but only of remembrance. The moment you accepted it inwardly, it was done. The moment you assumed it in feeling, it was birthed into the unseen, growing, taking shape, waiting patiently for you to live in its light. And now, as you breathe in this knowing, the world itself seems to soften around you. The hardness that once appeared so real fades into mist. You see that life is not a rigid structure you must fight against. Life is clay, pliable and obedient to the hands that dare to mold it from within. You are the potter, and your assumption is the wheel. You are the sower, and your feeling is the seed. You are the builder, and your sustained inner vision is the foundation laid in unseen realms, before it ever touches the dust of the earth. There is no struggle left. There is only acceptance. Acceptance that imagination, when felt as true, becomes the living flesh of the world you walk through. It is the spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profiteth nothing. John 6:63. You feel the truth of this now, not as theory, but as experience. The spirit, the unseen acceptance within, is the quickening force. The visible flesh is but the slow echo of the invisible decree. And so you turn more easily now to the unseen, knowing that the senses, faithful though they are, always report yesterday's assumptions. You do not argue with them. You do not plead with the mirror to change. You change the face you present inwardly, and the reflection must obey. You live now in a quiet intimacy with your fulfilled life. You dwell in it when you walk. You carry it when you speak. You breathe it when you sleep. It has become your atmosphere, your home, your native land. And because you live in it inwardly, life rushes to surround you outwardly with its likeness. Unexpected blessings unfold. Serendipities arise. The very fabric of the world seems to lean toward your vision, eager to bring it into sight. But the greatest joy is not in the manifestation itself. It is in the freedom you have found, the freedom to live as you choose, not by outer action first, but by inward assumption, by the silent sovereign act of feeling yourself to be the one you desire to be. You walk now not in hope, but in fulfillment. You move not in striving, but in certainty. You speak not in seeking, but in having. And yet even in this sweet fulfillment, the river within you stirs again, not with urgency, but with infinite invitation. For the life you have claimed, the joy you have tasted, the abundance you have called forth, are but the first notes in an endless symphony of becoming. You feel it already, the widening of your spirit, the quiet readiness for more, not from greed, but from the holy desire to express more fully the infinite beauty you are. What if the dreams you have fulfilled are but stepping stones to even greater dreams? What if the life you have assumed is but a doorway into a life so rich, so radiant, that it makes every former joy seem like the first fragile glimpse of dawn before the rising sun? The river widens, the current deepens, and the next step, though unseen, is already prepared, already waiting for your next breath of remembrance, your next quiet assumption of the greater self you are always meant to be. And as the river within deepens its song, you feel yourself swept not away from yourself, but deeper into yourself, into the infinite center, where all dreams are born, where all worlds unfold, where all fulfillment already lives in silent splendor. It is no longer a journey of becoming, it is a revelation of being. You are not striving to reach the greater life. You are remembering that you are the life itself, ever unfolding, ever expressing, ever renewing its wonders through you. There is a lightness to it now, a tenderness, as if all of life has leaned in closer, whispering, you are ready. You are ready to live without the walls you once thought necessary. You are ready to shine without fear of being seen. You are ready to dream without the chains of reason, without the smallness of past memory. You stand at the threshold of vastness, and you know you were never meant to merely visit it. You were meant to live there. You breathe in this knowing, and with every breath, the old scaffolding falls away, the scaffolding of effort, of waiting, of believing yourself separate from the source of all you seek. You do not need to ask how. You do not need to ask when. You already carry the answer in the quiet certainty that lives beneath every word, every step, every imagined scene. You realize now that assumption is not an act you perform to get something. It is the natural language of being itself. It is the silent agreement between your soul and the infinite, that what you have claimed inwardly must become visible, because it already is real. It is written, for whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world, and this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith. 1 John 5:4. Feel the immensity of that now. Your faith is not a striving to convince yourself. It is the remembrance that you were born of fulfillment, born of wholeness, born of the eternal yes. You walk now in the power of that yes. You no longer knock on closed doors. You realize there are no closed doors when you live from the fulfilled state. You no longer beg for the world to change. You rest in the quiet knowledge that it already has, because you have already changed within. And as you rest, as you abide in this serene joy, the world begins to shimmer differently around you. Faces brighten when they see you, though they may not know why. Paths open beneath your feet without you having to clear them. Solutions arise before problems even have time to take root. It is not magic, it is law. the law of consciousness made visible, the law of sustained assumption unfolding into form as surely as the seed unfolds into the towering tree. You are the tree planted by the rivers of water, whose leaf does not wither, who bears fruit in every season, because you have chosen to live from the river, not from the dry ground of appearances. You do not rush this life, you savor it. You do not panic at the unfolding, you bless it. You do not measure your progress by how fast the outer forms appear, you measure it by how steadily. You dwell in the feeling of already being the one you have chosen to be, and in that steady dwelling, miracles become natural, abundance becomes normal, joy becomes your constant atmosphere, your silent companion, your invisible armor against all lesser appearances. And even now, even as you walk in greater freedom than you once dared to imagine, the infinite whispers again, a whisper not of demand, but of invitation. What would you dream now, if you knew that all of life was leaning forward to say yes? What would you assume now, if you trusted that every unseen force is conspiring to bring it into form, simply because you dared to feel it real? The river's current grows stronger still, carrying you not toward struggle, but toward the effortless embrace of your limitless self, waiting, always waiting, for your next silent decree of yes. And as you feel yourself yielding more completely to that silent yes, the boundaries that once seemed so rigid begin to dissolve. What you thought was the horizon reveals itself as only the beginning of an endless sky. What you once called limitation was only a garment, easily removed by the simple act of remembrance. You are not expanding yourself through effort. You are revealing yourself through surrender. You are not building a new life by struggle. You are allowing the life that was always yours to bloom, unobstructed, through the simple, holy act of assumption. You realize now that the river does not need you to push it forward. It needs only your willingness to float, to trust, to become the current itself. You have never been carried by chance. You have been carried by law, by love, by the invisible certainty that moves through all things and responds unfailingly to your sustained feeling. And what is this feeling but the silent announcement, I am? You say it without noise, without drama, yet the whole of creation bends to hear it. You say it when you assume yourself to already be the one you have longed to become. You say it when you close your eyes to appearances and open them inwardly to the unseen reality, more solid than anything the senses have ever reported. You live now from the inside out. You move not by reacting to what is, but by embodying what you have already accepted as true within. And life, faithful as ever, follows the path you have laid in the unseen with steps of gold. It is written, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, Lo here, or Lo there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:20-21. Feel the depth of that truth now. No outer sign will grant you the certainty you seek. The sign is the feeling itself, the inward knowing, the secret joy, the unshakable peace that comes when you dare to believe that your assumption is reality. And when you live this way, when you persist in the unseen, the visible must yield. It must reshape. It must bow to the decree you have made in the stillness of your own heart. You no longer need to make loud declarations to the world. Your very being becomes the declaration. Your quiet walk, your gentle breath, your effortless imagining, these are the true prayers that never return void. You do not strive to manifest. You breathe manifestation. You do not wrestle with conditions. You transcend them by assuming the state beyond them. You do not ask for permission from life. You realize life was always waiting for you to claim what you are willing to embody. And so you walk now through every moment, every meeting, every seeming obstacle, with the calm authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only cause, and assumption the only necessary act. And as this knowing deepens, the question returns, not to trouble you, but to lift you higher. What would you dare to feel now, if you knew without question that it would clothe itself in form? What new heights of joy? What new expansions of love? What new revelations of abundance would you permit yourself to assume without hesitation, without doubt, without fear? The river gathers its strength beneath you, the current growing richer, stronger, more irresistible, and the invitation remains open, wide as eternity itself, waiting for the silent sovereign yes of your next breath. And as the river's invitation swells within you, it no longer feels like a summons to action, but a remembering of movement you have always known. You realize that to assume is not to create in some distant place, but to awaken what already lives in the invisible currents of your being, ready to flower the instant you call it real. You drift deeper into this ease, and with it a new kind of boldness arises, not the boldness of striving, but the boldness of being. You dare now to assume the highest, the purest, the most radiant version of life, because you know it is not arrogance to claim your divine inheritance, it is humility to accept what has already been given. You move from assuming to embodying, from imagining to living. The line between the unseen and the seen blurs until it disappears entirely, and you are left standing in a world that mirrors your inner sanctuary with breathtaking faithfulness. There is a sweetness to it, a richness that no outer achievement could ever grant, for you know deeply and irrevocably now that nothing outside of you has power over your life. You are the cause, the dreamer, the shaper of the garden you walk through. You walk by faith, not by sight, and faith is no longer a strained effort to believe against evidence. It is the quiet, unwavering knowing that the evidence itself must bend to your sustained feeling. You remember the ancient words, "Ask and it shall be given you, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you." Matthew 7:7. But you understand now that the asking is not a plea. It is the silent claiming within, the unshakable acceptance that what you have imagined is already yours. The seeking is not a search through outer conditions. It is a return inward, a turning again to the kingdom that was never outside, but always within. The knocking is not a pounding upon distant doors. It is the gentle tap of your own spirit against the walls of belief, ready to break them open with a whisper, with a breath. And as you continue to live from this place, life itself becomes a great unfolding, a dance of effortless manifestations, not because you have earned them, but because you have aligned yourself with the law that cannot fail. You no longer fret over timing. You no longer question the when or the how. You know that in the unseen, every desire fulfilled already exists, complete and perfect, and that it must appear when the soil of your assumption is made ready by persistence. You are patient, not because you are waiting, but because you are abiding in the certainty that what is real inwardly must become visible outwardly. As surely as the sun rises, as surely as the seed bears fruit. You do not check the soil, you do not disturb the roots, you tend the feeling, you water it with gratitude, you shine the light of attention upon it, and you trust the process that unfolds in divine timing. And even now, as you taste the sweetness of this effortless unfolding, a greater wonder stirs at the edges of your awareness, the realization that the life you are calling forth is not merely for you, but through you, for all. Every fulfilled assumption, every silent victory, becomes a beacon to others still caught in the illusion of struggle, still wrestling with the shadows of separation. You become a living testimony that freedom is not a distant hope, but a present reality, hidden only by the veil of forgotten identity. You become the reminder that anyone, at any moment, can turn within, assume the end, and walk forth into a new world, clothed in the garments of their own faith. And if this is true, if your fulfilled life becomes a silent blessing to all who behold it, then what greater dream might you now dare to accept, knowing that in doing so, you are not only lifting yourself, but lifting the world. The river swells with promise, the current bright with unseen gold, and even now, it urges you gently onward, deeper still into the endless unfolding of your divine remembrance. And as the current gathers you more completely into its golden sweep, you realize with a clarity beyond thought that this journey has never been about reaching a destination. It has always been about awakening to the reality that destination and traveler are one, that the fulfillment you sought has lived within you since before the foundation of the world. There is no longer any need to ask if you are worthy. You see now that worthiness was never a requirement. Only acceptance was needed. Only the willingness to say quietly within yourself, "It is finished," and to trust that the unseen would honor your decree without fail. You feel the freedom of that trust deep in your bones, a living warmth that no appearance can dim. It moves through you, soft and steady, like a secret sun rising beyond the hills of the senses, illuminating not just the path before you, but the truth of who you are. You are not becoming powerful. You are remembering that you have always been power itself, clothed in the garments of time and experience, playing for a little while at being small, at being separate, at being lost. But the play is ending now, not with sorrow, but with laughter. The holy laughter of one who wakes from a long dream and remembers the splendor that never left. and you see with new eyes that everything, every delay, every shadow, every moment of feeling stuck was never a punishment, never a mistake. It was only the slow, patient work of life itself, guiding you back to the realization that you have been the operant power all along. It is written, "Before Abraham was I am," John 8:58. Feel the weight of that eternal truth. I am not bound by history, not bound by circumstance, not bound by the stories the world tried to weave around you. I am the beginning and the end, the seed and the harvest, the dream and the fulfillment. You no longer need to fight for your place in the sun. You are the light itself, rising without permission, without apology, simply because it is your nature to shine. And with this knowing, you move differently. You think differently. You imagine differently. Every assumption becomes more sacred, more deliberate, more infused with the serene authority of one who understands that consciousness is the potter, and form is the clay. You assume the best, not because you are trying to force life to obey you, but because you know that life is already obedient to the one who dares to live from the end. You imagine generously, freely, expansively, because you understand now that to limit your dream is to limit the glory of the self that dreams it. And as you do, the world rearranges itself with breathtaking precision, not to grant you something you lacked, but to mirror the fullness you have accepted within. You bless the unfolding now, even when it seems slow, even when it moves in ways you did not predict. You bless it because you know that every moment is part of the beautiful weaving of your assumption into visibility. There is no need for haste. There is no need for fear. There is only the holy work of sustaining the feeling of the wish fulfilled, knowing that the feeling is the cause, and the world is the effect. And even now, as this truth settles more deeply into your being, another door begins to open. Not a door to more striving, but to even greater surrender, even greater allowing, even greater joy. The river is not asking you to swim harder. It is inviting you to let go completely, to be carried so fully by the current of your fulfilled self, that every breath becomes an arrival, and every step becomes a revelation of the endless goodness already prepared for you. The horizon ahead shimmers with promise, and the silent voice within whispers once more, what miracles might unfold if you simply dared to remain, faithfully, gently, joyfully, in the feeling of already having, already being, already shining as the fulfillment itself. The river answers without words, and the next heartbeat carries you deeper into the golden country where all things are possible. And as the golden country opens before you, you feel not a rush of striving, but a stillness deeper than all striving. It is not the stillness of waiting. It is the stillness of fulfillment realized, the stillness of knowing there is nothing to earn, nothing to chase, nothing to force into being. You are already where you sought to go. You are already what you long to become. Every breath confirms it. Every beat of your heart sings it. The distance you imagined has melted into the certainty of now. You no longer ask life to prove itself to you. You live as the proof. You no longer seek signs in the world. You become the sign, the living evidence that consciousness assumed faithfully is destiny. And now you walk differently. You walk in the authority of one who knows that every step is a creation, every thought a silent command, every assumption a seed sown into the fertile soil of being itself. You choose your assumptions with reverence. You cradle your inner conversations with tenderness. You inhabit the feeling of your fulfilled desire, not as an exercise, but as a homecoming. It is written, "All things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive." Matthew 21:22. And you understand now that prayer is not pleading. Prayer is assuming. Prayer is embodying the end and living from its joy, its confidence, its gratitude. You no longer pray to change circumstances. You pray to remember your power. You pray to align yourself with the unseen life that molds and moves the world around you. And as you live from this prayerful state, miracles become your normal breath, your ordinary song. Doors open without your knocking. Paths appear without your striving. Life rushes to meet you, not because you demand it, but because you have become it. There is no more struggle against appearances. There is only the effortless fidelity to your vision within. The outer world must follow. It must conform. It must reflect, because it has no power of its own. It is the shadow of your sustained inner light. And should a shadow pass across your path, you no longer falter. You know it for what it is. The fading echo of an old assumption, powerless unless you revive it. You do not revive it, you bless it. You thank it for the contrast that sharpened your choosing, and you return, gently, joyfully, to the fulfilled state, the inner dwelling place, where all good things flow from you like rivers from a spring. You are not trying to create reality. You are revealing it. You are not striving to reach heaven. You are realizing that heaven is the invisible dimension of your own consciousness, made visible the moment you dare to feel it real. And even now, even in this sacred fullness, you know that the journey never truly ends, for life itself is infinite, forever offering new vistas, new glories, new dreams to be embodied. But you walk now, not as a seeker, you walk as a knower. You walk as one who has found the treasure in the field, and bought it with the gold of inner certainty. You walk as one who understands that the only thing ever asked of you was the willingness to believe, the willingness to assume, the willingness to live from the end. And because you have said yes, not once, but again and again, quietly, faithfully, joyfully, the whole universe bends to bless you. And the river, which once seemed to carry you toward your dreams, reveals itself to have always been you, your own vast life, flowing outward, flowing inward, endlessly creating, endlessly remembering, endlessly becoming. You stand now, not at the end of a journey, but at the endless beginning of new wonders, knowing that whatever you dare to assume, whatever you choose to live from, whatever you claim within, shall be called good, and very good. You are free, you are fulfilled, you are the operant power, you are the dreamer awakening within the dream, you are the living word made flesh, and every breath you take from this moment forward is a silent decree of life, more abundant, love more infinite, joy more boundless than anything you have yet imagined. For this is only the beginning, and the river of life carries you onward, deeper into the infinite country of your own radiant being.